Good evening, everyone. Hopefully, you're having a wonderful day so far. I got a fun one for you today. Seems like Chrystia Freeland was in Alberta today, and she was talking carbon capture and meeting up with some folks. And during question period of the interview, she got a lot of questions about the CN rail strike and the other rail strikes that are going to be going on at 12:01 Thursday. So I can expect you already know a lot of her answers from previous videos, but let's get going. And let's see the word from the horse's mouth.
Michelle Bellefontaine, CBC. What is your department expecting or forecasting in terms of the economic impact of a complete rail stoppage? And what kind of contingency plans are underway?
And let me just start by saying Canada is a trading nation. We make a lot of great things that we sell to the world, and we should be proud of that. And our railways are an essential way that we get our goods to market. Canada and the Canadian economy have been through some really tough times since COVID first hit. We had lockdowns, then we had shortages, then we had high inflation, then we had high interest rates. We are now truly starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, with inflation back within the Bank of Canada's target range for 7 months, and interest rates having come down twice. It is entirely unacceptable for anyone to get in the way of that economic progress that we have all been making, and that has been so hard fought and so hard won. So I want to take the opportunity that your question presents to say to the parties, to say to the companies, to say to the union, we are expecting you to work really, really hard, to negotiate in good faith, to negotiate with real energy and intensity, and to get a deal done. Your customers expect that. Your customers' employees expect that. The farmers who I saw on my way here swathing, they expect that. The people who work here, they expect that. Canada and Canadians expect that. So we know the best deals are reached at the negotiating table. We are expecting the parties to roll up their sleeves and get a deal done ASAP.
Unfortunately, a lot of businesses and many unions do not care what you and the government thinks. The unions are going to negotiate for how high and how many gifts and goodies that they can get, and the companies are going to try and get the deal as cheap as possible and without as many gifts or goodies as they can. So the government really, from what I can see, can't really do anything except hope that a deal gets done. So it is what it is, I guess. Right now, all she really did was finger wag and say, "Oh, how well Canada's doing right now," even though 25% of Canadians are living in poverty. And as for all the lockdowns and shortages and high inflation that we went through, it was just because of the coup. It wasn't because we printed money or initiated lockdowns which created all those shortages, but let's not talk about that.
As my follow-up, though, I mean, how patient can the government afford to be with these negotiations given the economic consequences? And I'm wondering if you can tell us what kind of contingency plans the government has.
Our plan is for the parties to listen to Canadians, listen to their neighbors, listen to their friends, to recognize that it is totally unacceptable for us as a country to sabotage ourselves right now. We have been through a lot. We have made so much progress with our economy, and Canadians from coast to coast to coast are depending on the employers, are depending on the union to get a deal done and to get it done with alacrity.
So, in short, we have no plan. We just hope and pray that this actually doesn't happen, and it is what it is if it does. I mean, I can't believe the government, I can't believe the government hasn't learned from the last CN rail strike where everything was shut down for the longest time. I talked about this on the previous stream where, everything was shut down and Quebec couldn't get any propane for heat for the longest time. And it was more than 2 weeks. And yet, and the government's had a little over a week to prepare a plan for if this strike goes for a long time, and yet they have nothing. And yet they can't share a word to calm the populace's nerves. But that's the Trudeau government for you.
Thank you so much for taking our questions. Aaron Sousa with the Canadian Press. As my colleagues,
Can you say your name again? It's hard to hear.
This is not a problem. Aaron Sousa, Canadian Press. So as my colleagues have pointed out, the clock is starting to tick with the potential work stoppage with the rail lines. And as you've already pointed out, it's expected to have a big impact on Canadians. The federal government has stepped in these cases before. I'm wondering, what will it take before the federal government considers legislating an end to this stoppage?
So let me just say this. My colleague Steve McKinnon, the Minister of Labour, is very seized of this issue, as is the whole government. He has been working very, very hard on it, talking to the employers, talking to the union. He's been in Montreal. Today he's in Calgary, and he's going to be meeting with the Premier this afternoon. We take this situation incredibly seriously. We know that the best deals are reached at the bargaining table, and I am calling with extreme seriousness on the employers and on the union to roll up their sleeves to get a deal done. And it's not just me who's counting on them. Every single Canadian is counting on them. Their customers are counting on them. Their customers' employees are counting on them. The hardworking farmers in the fields around us, they are counting on them. The people at Shell are counting on them. So I want them to recognize the country has no patience with dilly-dallying right now. They can achieve a deal. They need to get a deal done. They need to take their responsibility seriously.
Yes, as my follow-up to that, what would you say then to the small businesses, the Canadians, companies in general, who are going to be impacted by struggles with backlogs with this kind of work stoppage?
I would say, let's as a country be united in sending a very clear message to the companies and to the union. It is not acceptable for us to do this act of self-harm to the Canadian economy. You have the responsibility to get a deal done. We are expecting you to rise to that responsibility and get a deal done.
And unfortunately, unions and companies don't particularly care about the good of Canadians as a whole. Companies only care about their bottom line. That's why they're successful companies. And unions, to be completely honest, the unions don't really care about how the workers feel about things. They only care about how much the union or how much the unions can get, because that's more money in their pockets as well from union dues. So, honestly, I don't know what the government's thinking right now. Me personally, if I would be running the government in a crazy alternate universe, I'd be getting ready to hire loads and loads of truck drivers and designating them to go to and fro wherever the train goes, and trying my best to at least get a fraction of what the train gets done. But that's a little bit hard because these trains are massive. It kind of sucks that the government sold CN Rail. I think it was in the early 1990s, because if they hadn't sold that, then we would have a way of continuing Canada's rail line and it not screwing the whole country over just because unions and their companies want to go at it. But unfortunately, that was a decision they made, and that's a decision that we have to live with the consequences now. So, and when she says the best deals are the deals made together or something like that, I can't remember, or behind the table or something like that. No, those aren't the best deals, and that's not even the saying. Maybe that's the liberal saying, because it's more like the best deals are the deals done behind closed doors. But the real saying is the best deals are the deals that are done where no one's happy. And hopefully a deal like that comes quick.
Right, we'll have time for one more question. And yes, no.
Good morning, Minister. Charles Taylor with Global Edmonton. Minister, with this potential rail stoppage looming, and just recently we saw port strikes cost the economy billions of dollars, how can you tell international trading partners Canada is a reliable place for business when labor disputes keep disrupting the flow of goods?
Canada is an extremely reliable place for business. Canada is an outstanding investment destination. And look, it's my job to say that, and I say it with utter belief and confidence. But guess what? Investors agree with me, and they are coming, and they are talking with their checks. This Polaris project is a huge investment on the part of Shell. Not too far from here, Dow has made a historic investment, their biggest investment ever in North America. We've had major investments from Honda, major investments from VW. This is a moment, actually, when the world is recognizing the Canadian advantage, whether that advantage is in our geological formations or our incredibly smart, innovative, hard-working people. I agree with you, though. Right now, Canada is really moving in the right direction economically. We've had inflation within the Bank of Canada's target range for 7 months. Interest rates have come down twice in a row. We have major foreign investment pouring into our country. And we simply cannot afford, we cannot tolerate a self-inflicted wound. And that's why I am saying, with real seriousness to the companies and to the union, your country is counting on you. Your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, every single one of them needs you to do your job, take your responsibility seriously, and get a deal.
Follow-up, Minister. The Canadian Chemical Association says cities at best have only 2 weeks of chemicals to treat drinking water, which can only be transported by rail. Will your government commit to ending the labor dispute before there are issues with drinking water?
Again, Charles, thank you for the question. I take this situation extremely seriously. So does our whole government. Steve McKinnon, our labor minister, is working really 24/7 on this. We know the best deals are reached at the bargaining table, and we know whose responsibility it is to get a deal. It's the responsibility of the companies. It's the responsibility of the union. Your questions are important, and your questions are the questions every single person in Canada is asking. I want the employers, I want the unions to hear us. I want them to roll up their sleeves to recognize Canadians need them to get this done, to reach a deal, so we can keep on moving forward.
You know when she says, I know your question is very important, and I take it very seriously, that she just had an oh shoot moment. I can't answer this. Because he just stated something that is crazy serious. If a city only has 2 weeks of chlorine for their water supply, they're going to be drinking tainted water. We're going to become Calgary. And the federal government has to say is, well, we really hope that these people who don't really care about Canadians buckle down and really suddenly care about Canadians. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that. And like I said, this is just finger wagging at these people and wishful thinking, because the federal government has no leverage, and just admitted it has no plan on how to combat this strike. So thanks for nothing, I guess. And the Minister of Industry that's going and talking to all these unions and stuff like that, what is he going to say? Oh, we're going to give you more money for, we're going to give you more government funding and whatever, just so you don't go on strike. Yeah. I could totally see the government doing that. And then that's going to be a thing. Every single year, the unions are going to go on strike, and the government's going to give them more money because they have to. But honestly, it's nice to know that our government doesn't have a plan, and our government is completely incompetent. I also think that that's the rest of the video, but let's keep her playing and we'll see.
All right, that concludes today's press conference. Se me fait la conférence de presse. Merci tout le monde.
Yep, it is. So, in conclusion, be afraid, Canadians. Be very afraid for what's going to come, because hopefully you got your emergency food, and hopefully you bought some bottled water, because, like, jugged water, because our federal government has no plan if this thing goes long. Provincial governments probably have no plan for this if this goes long. And just want to remind you, the unions don't care about you, and these companies don't care about you. So, and the workers might care about what their neighbors say to them when they, see them for drinks on the weekends, but they pretty much have no power over what the union does. So other than that, let me know what you think below. Let me know if there's anything I forgot about, maybe why the union's striking. Other than, like, inflation is going up so people have to be paid more and things like that. Or you can put that down there as well. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe. That would be awesome. Still trying to hit that magic 200 subscribers. And other than that, have a good day.